Yo guys, how's it going? Tribal Links here, welcome back. Uh, Today we're gonna talk a little bit about anomalies. We're gonna talk about the dynamic of spawning special anomalies, as well as just general tips and tricks as to how to read the rats and pick your targets. We'll start off really quick. I'll show you this here. So you can see I'm not flying anything fancy. Oops, wrong button. Uh, just a basic destroyer, algo sniper. It's kind of, semi-hunting fit. Um, and I did go ahead and put some defensive rigs on there that are decent. But otherwise, it's just a basic destroyer. And so we'll go ahead and undock. Um, Now the system I'm working on is a dead end system, so there is only one gate. That will come into play here shortly as we start to discuss spawning of special anomalies. Um, and then you see that I am in I'm in a T5 system here. So, it's kind of pretty much as good as you're going to get in low sec. Shy of there's a couple of T6 systems, but generally speaking, they're fairly active with low sec corporations. So T5 is pretty good. Alright, so you'll see here the list of anomalies on the right hand side that, they're demarcated as usual. We have the base, and then we have our various size anomalies here. No smalls right now, but that's okay. So first off, right off the bat, we do not ever kill the base because the base and its level is what determines the level of the special spawns. So the higher the base level, the better the special anomalies will be. And of course, that will cap out at the highest um, level anomaly in the system, which is, of course, based on the security level of that system. So, we have here 5 anomalies to work with and a base. And as previously stated, there is one gate in this system. Now, for each gate, there will be 2 system anomalies. These are anomalies spawned by the system. I'm going to go to my save here really quick. These are anomalies spawned by the system. These anomalies do not help with the spawning of special anomalies. In order to spawn special anomalies, you should be hunting the anomalies that are spawned by the base. But how do you tell the difference? Because they're not marked and they're not demarcated as being system or base spawned. So in order to do that, what we need to do is we need to look at the spawn timers. Um, Base anomalies will always be on the same spawn timer, that being 10 minutes. So the base will spawn a new anomaly 10 minutes after a despawn, whereas a system anomaly is spawned on a different timer. And so, by watching the spawn rate of the anomalies as you knock them down, you can determine which anomalies are spawned by the system and which are spawned by the base. At that point, then, you know which anomalies to attack. You only need to attack the ones spawned by the base, which will be spawned every 10 minutes. Therefore, if you get 2 of the base spawned anomalies, you're pretty well good to go. You can alternate between the two of them, as one is despawned, the other one should be about to spawn. Back and forth you go until you get something nice. The bigger your fleet, obviously, the more of these anomalies you're going to need to find as you go. So, that being said, we'll go ahead and start this process. I'm going to start with a medium here. And we'll dive into the second half of this, which is going to be about reading the AI and thereby determining which of the targets are priority and which of them are not necessarily dangerous. So here we are in a destroyer and we are warping in at 0 on this anomaly. I'm going to go ahead and set up my orbit here on one of the cruisers. And we'll go ahead and turn on the targeting. Now I'm going to focus for a second on, this destroyer. This destroyer is the smallest ship on the field and therefore has the best tracking. That means that it's going to have the easiest time hitting me. So I'm going to take him out first. I am orbiting one of the largest ships at a comfortable distance in order to get under his guns. That way he can't hit me. And then now I've gone ahead and clicked here above my health and information on these little icons here and right in the center, and if I click on that, then that will tell me all of the information about who is attacking me with what E-War. I'm going to go ahead and attack the guy that is eating my capacitor, and I'm going to focus on him. You'll notice that suddenly I'm taking little to no damage, which is good. My capacitor is doing fairly decent because here they only use Nosferatu, which only slowly drains my capacitor. Some zones will use neutralizers, which will chew up the capacitor really quickly. You're definitely going to want to find those first. But this also works if you're being scrammed. In an anomaly, you can find out who it is and attack them quickly, or any other sort of issues that you might be facing. So he's almost gone. We'll go ahead and take out this thorax next. And we'll go ahead and web him down, slow him up as much as we can. That'll allow us to get that good solid damage on him. There we go. Should we pick up some loot along the way? Of course we should. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so I can see. There we go. And then we'll just go ahead and orbit this guy here and finish this off. Oh, and I even did that backwards. What do you know? I say backwards because of another dynamic that I've noticed in this, which I'll point out on the next wave here. That being that not all of the rats are actually going to target you back. And speaking of targeting, I will also highly recommend turning off auto lockback. I will show you this in a moment once we've settled into a comfortable situation on the next wave. Just finish this guy up really quick here. keep that on. I want to keep my speed up because I don't want to have to accelerate into the next wave. And there we go. Go ahead and loot that. And then again, we're going to go ahead and orbit one of the largest ships. Go ahead and set up that auto lock, which I do recommend that you get out of the habit of using. And again, we'll get to that in a moment. Right. So now that we're into this next wave, you'll see that all the rats have locked onto me. Except one. This one over here, this thorax, has decided he doesn't want to lock onto me. So I'm going to unlock him. Because, first of all, it means I have an extra lock slot. And also because that way I'm not wasting DPS when I'm trying to clear out those that are damaging me. I don't have to worry about that guy. He's not shooting at me. He hasn't even locked onto me. He's just sitting idly by. And so we're going to take advantage of that. Now again, we're going to go in here and we're going to check and see who's observing. I'm going to focus on him. And then we'll take out this frigate, because most likely he's the one that's hitting me right now. Ah. Even though technically he is a Logi ship, and therefore should be carrying remote repairers, not weapons, but you know, it's AI. There we go. And now we're back to taking 0 damage. We'll settle in really quick here. Lock this guy up. And then, so I've gone in ahead and opened up my menu. I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to battle settings. And you'll notice that automatic lockback, the second one here, is off. Auto orbit is also off. And auto tracking camera is off. These for very important reasons. For auto orbiting, I have that turned off because I do not necessarily always want to orbit the target that I'm locked onto. Auto orbit will automatically orbit your ship around the target that you are firing on. Not what I want. And so I have that turned off. This is also important for larger ships as you start to kite as opposed to speed tank, which we'll talk about in a later video. And in that case you also want auto orbit off. The reason why auto lock back is off is vastly more important. The way that that mechanism works is that if something is targeting you you will automatically target it. But if you drop into an encounter, a mission, or an anomaly with more enemies than you have lock slots, your targeting system will lock onto whichever ones lock first, meaning that some of the faster ships that are getting nice and close to you and actually applying damage may not end up in your lock slots, whereas ships that are outside of your range may take those slots instead. So, picking your targets is a much better way of approaching it. Also, because as you start to work in fleets, stuff like that, when a Logi locks onto you to repair you, that is also will trigger that auto lockback and cause major issues. And so we're just going to keep that off. Let's see, let's go ahead and orbit this guy. And I'm actually going to take an awkward approach angle to give myself some angular velocity here. Now we can orbit this guy. Alright, let's see what we've got. We've got a web on us. We're going to go ahead and clear out this web first, because it's going to slow us down and make us an easier target to hit. Close. And I'm going to turn on my armor plate and my repair, and then the absorb. I'm going to go ahead and lock onto him, and I'm going to lock onto this because this is the other small target that is hitting me fairly consistently. This is actually the preferred method of choosing targets. You'll see that I have not used the auto targeting system. I have not filled all my lock slots. I'm only choosing the targets that I wish to hit. Can leave the thorax, so we're going to go ahead and lock the Navitas, being a frigate and also hitting me fairly consistently. And then we can lock this Vexor down. Alright. So I still have lock slots available if someone was to come in and try to attack me right now. I have the ability to lock onto them without having to drop a target. If it was a larger wave than I have enough lock slots for, I can keep my eye out for a ship that's traveling faster than the main pack and be able to lock them up before they get too close. There's just a lot of reasons why it is preferred to not fill your lock slots. Oh, let's focus on this guy. And I'm a little bit distracted in trying to speak this, and so not doing quite as well, but we'll be fine. Not to worry. We're going to go ahead and turn that off now. And that should clear out most of the DPS that I'm taking at this point. Whoa, something's hit me fairly hard. What is? The other thing to be aware of is the fact that just like you, the pirates get access to an assortment of highs, mids, and lows. That being said, they are limited to those preferred by their faction. So, in this case, Galant, they would be limited to railguns. They're limited, generally speaking, to armor, excuse me, modules, and their E-War is also somewhat limited. Um, Whereas if I was in a Mars space, I believe they would have neutralizers instead of Nosferatu, and they would drop lasers instead of railguns. However, the same is true across the board. Some of them will be mounted with short range and some with long range equipments. Um, there will be times when, as a kiting build, you will be, hold on, orbit, you will be taking damage at range. Um, this means that the ship that is hitting you is fit with ranged highs, whereas the vast majority of the pirates are fit actually with short range weapons, being somewhere to the tune of, you know, 10, 15, maybe 20 kilometers, based on the weapon type. Um, However, every once in a while you will find pirates, various levels, that will hit you from further out, say 40, 60, sometimes even 80 to 100, depending on the level of the encounter or anomaly that you're doing. In this case, as a kite build, it becomes important. Hold on, orbit, focus fire. This would not be a good time to get jumped. It becomes somewhat important to learn which ships give bonuses to what, in what capacity. For example, it's as a general rule, you will find rifled railguns on the thorax. It is generally set up as a somewhat of a range build, and therefore you can orbit at short range and get under his guns. The Vexer actually only gets 2 high slots, and because the pirates don't use drones, that means that their DPS is limited in its capacity. Something like the Catalyst, the Navitus in this case, these are fitted with small weapons which have better tracking speed and less range. And so, as you start to understand what all the ships are, their bonuses, and their capabilities, you have a better understanding of which targets are threats in your current situation. These, once you understand these things, then running anomalies, running missions, running stories becomes less difficult and less. Oops. Mm, Less unpredictable because you will actually be predicting every step of the way what you're going to be facing, what they're going to be doing, and how to react in each situation. So we're going to go ahead and lock everyone up. Going to go ahead and unlock this Vexer. Our orbit is set on the thorax. At this point, it's just a matter of time. The higher your skills, of course, the shorter that time will be, as you'll be doing more damage more effectively at higher levels. Also, with your ship, with your skills in modules, etc., your ship will become much more effective and you'll be much faster clearing. This again is a T5 anomaly in a destroyer. Uh, Speed tanking in a destroyer, wasn't sure if it was going to be a thing, to be honest. The destroyer is much, much slower than a frigate, and I didn't know how it was going to work out, but it's actually doing fairly decently. You'll notice that it is an afterburner, not a micro warp drive. I did that to avoid the signature radius penalty of a micro warp drive, which would then mean I was traveling at horribly slow speed tanking, looking like a cruiser or even a battle cruiser, making me a much bigger target to hit, and meaning I'd be taking a lot more damage. This is actually working out really well, especially as I read the pirates, as I read these, and know which ones to hit, and clean out the dangerous DPS quickly, so that I can calmly finish the rest. We had a small anomaly spawn. I believe someone else is ratting here. And of course, again, I'm not worried about this guy. He's not shooting back, so I can sit dead still. No worries, no stress. We'll see one last wave of indie ships, where we will get our... Oh, he's got a decent ship too, I bet. we'll get our ore hulls. And I'm just going to approach them so that I'm close to the boxes when they spawn. Or the wrecks when they drop, whatever you want to call it. That's about it. That's about all. And so at this point, what I'll do is I'll leave this anomaly. I'll look at the time. I'll make note of it. And then if something spawns 10 minutes after this despawns, then I know it's a base spawned anomaly and I'll continue to hunt it. If not, what I'll do is I'll probably mark it by leaving one ship in a wave so that I know when I land there that I don't need to do that one. Hopefully this helps you guys. Get out there and get into these anomalies because, really the encounters and the story missions, yeah, they're cool. But once you start getting into spawning special anomalies, you'll see that that's actually really where the income is. That's where all of the best stuff in the game comes from. That's where blueprints come from. That's where materials for reverse engineering comes from. And if you get into T6 or above, that's where blue tag C-type items come from. It's special anomalies. So get out there, get ratting, have fun. Happy hunting. This is Tribal Links. We're signing off.